Hello, friends. This is a very wonderful story prescribed for our syllabus. An Astrologer's Day, which is written by a master writer, R.K. Narayan. I will directly go to the story. We'll see it line by line. An Astrologer's Day. Punctually at midday, he opened his bag and spread out his professional equipment, which consisted of a dozen cowrie shells, a square piece of cloth with obscure mystic chats on it, a notebook, and a bundle of Palmyra writing. See, an astrologer had come at his place besides a road to open his shop, and he had come on his schedule in the afternoon at midday, and he opened his bag and he spread out the things which are needed for an astrologer to run his business. There were cowrie shells, a square piece of cloth with obscure mystic chats on it. An astrologer must have something queer with him, and he had that square piece of obscure mystic chats. Obscure mystic chats does mean difficult to understand chats, so that common people would not understand it what it is, and they may get attracted towards him. And along with that, he had a notebook, a bundle of Palmyra writings too. His forehead was resplendent with sacred ash and vermilion. He had applied sacred ash on his forehead along with vermilion. Sacred ash does mean raksha. The raksha we get in mandirs, in dargahs. That raksha he had applied on his forehead and vermilion. Vermilion in Marathi it is shendur. And his eyes sparkled with a sharp abnormal gleam, which was really an outcome of a continual searching look for customers. See, he had already spread out these things: cowrie shells, obscure mystic chats, Palmyra writings, and along with that he had this get-up: sacred ash on his and vermilion on his forehead. His eyes sparkled. Even he had those sparkling eyes with sharp abnormal gleam. This sharp abnormal gleam, this sparkle had come in his eyes because he was in continuous searching for his customers. But which these things, sparkled eyes, abnormal gleam, was due to the searching for the customers, but his simple clients took to be a prophetic light and felt comforted. See how interesting this is. Clients thought that he had special eyes, but he had those special eyes because he was in continuous search for his customers, and they would feel comforted looking at him, and they would get attracted towards him. The power of his eyes was considerably enhanced by their position placed as they were between the painted forehead and the dark whiskers which streamed down his cheeks. His eyes looked special because they were he had applied that sacred ash and vermilion on his forehead, and that's why his eyes and the continual search for the customers made his eyes special for the customers. See the great observation of the writer. That's why he is a master writer. A writer must know all the shades of human being's nature. And see, even a half-wit's eyes would sparkle in such a setting. If somebody is having these mystic chats and cowrie shells and all these things in front of him and having applied that sacred ash and vermilion and those searching eyes, if all these things come together, they can make a half-wit's eyes look sparkle. See, he may look brilliant, he may look extraordinary to the common people. And along with this, to crown the effect, he wound a saffron colored turban around his head. This color scheme never failed. You know how this color scheme works. If a simple fellow, if a mad fellow is wearing something of saffron color, saffron म्हणजे आपला भगवा रंग, if he is wearing clothes or dhoti of that color, he looks like a Sant Mahatma. And that's why this color scheme never failed for him. He had all these things together, and to top on all these things, he had that saffron colored turban wound around his head. People were attracted to him as bees are attracted to cosmos or dahlia stalks. See, bees are attracted towards sweet flowers having nectar in them. They need to swallow the nectar from the flowers. The same way, the astrologer who had seated there besides the road was attracting his customers. Customers get attracted towards him. The writer has made the comparison here. He sat under the boughs of a spreading tamarind tree which flanked a path running through the town hall park. It was a remarkable place in many ways. A surging crowd was always moving up and down this narrow road from morning till night. Now the writer is telling us his location. He had sat under a tamarind tree, under the branches of the tree, which was besides the road which was going to Town Hall Park. It was a busy road. It was the main road of the town. It was a remarkable place. A surging crowd was always moving up and down this narrow road from morning till night. See, this was a busy road because it was the main road of the town going towards Town Hall Park. And that's why he had chosen this busy road so that he would get as many as possible customers. A variety of trades and occupations was represented all along its way. Medicine sellers, sellers of stolen hardware and junk, magicians, and above all, an auctioneer of cheap clothes who created enough din all day to attract the whole town. See, a variety of trades were there. Now the writer is giving us the description of the trades being run on the road. There were medicine sellers, jadi buti wale, sellers of stolen hardware and junk, chor bazaar, magicians, and above all, an auctioneer of cheap clothes. See, the auctioneer of cheap clothes was creating enough din all day to attract the whole town. Those who sell cheap things, they have to make enough noise to attract the attention of the customers. Nowadays also, the products of bad quality have to advertise a lot. The same way, these auctioneers of cheap clothes were advertising their product, making a din in the market. Next to him in vociferousness came a vendor of fried groundnut. Vociferousness, making loud noise. The meaning is already given there in the textbook. Came a vendor of fried groundnut who gave his ware a fancy name each day. See, to attract the attention of the customers, this groundnut seller, fried groundnut seller, was naming his groundnuts in different ways. Someday he would call it Bombay ice cream, or some other day Delhi almond. Ice cream and groundnuts have nothing to do with each other. Still, he named them Bombay ice cream, even Delhi almond, and on the third, Raja's delicacy. Listening these names, his customers must be attracted towards him in flock, and so on and so forth, and people flock to him. A considerable portion of this crowd dallied. The meaning of this word dallied is already given. Wasted time with hanging around. See, these were the sellers of various things, and along with that there were people who were just doing their time pass. Considerable portion of this crowd dallied before the astrologer too. The astrologer transacted his business by the light of a flare which crackled and smoked up above the groundnut heap nearby. There was no direct light coming to the astrologer in the evening. Half the enchantment does mean magical effect or charm. He was not in full light. He was hidden behind the shadow. That's why, and he had his business of telling astrology to the people. So the light, the entire setting, his get-up, his turban, all these things were making an effect, a magical effect on his customers. For the place was due to fact that it did not have the benefit of municipal lighting. There was no municipal lighting, but some light was coming on him, which was not that enough. The place was lit up by shop lights. One or two had hissing gas lights. Some had naked flares stuck on poles. Some were lit up by old cycle lamps, and one or two, like the astrologer, managed without lights of their own. The astrologer didn't have his own light. He had managed himself in some other's light. And you know the reason. I have already told you that he did not want to be in full light, because it was creating magical effect. It was a bewildering crisscross of light rays and moving shadows. See, when he was hidden behind some shadow, it was bewildering, confusing, creating magical effect on the customers, light rays and moving shadows. This suited the astrologer very well, for the simple reason that he had not in the least intended to be an astrologer when he began his life. See, now it is the information about the astrologer of his previous life. This suited him because he was not a true astrologer. He hadn't decided to begin the career of his life as an astrologer, and he knew no more of he knew no more of what was going to happen to others than he knew what was going to happen to himself next minute. How could he tell about others when he himself didn't know about his own life? What would happen to him the next moment, he didn't know. But still, he was doing this business of telling astrology to the people, telling about their future to the people. He was he was as much a stranger to the stars as were his innocent customers. Whatever his customers knew about stars, they didn't know anything about stars. His customers didn't know anything about stars, the same way he too didn't know anything about stars. Yet he said things which pleased and astonished everyone. This is an art. Telling astrology is an art. Whatever people like to listen, if that is said to them, whatever the common things are there in human beings' nature, if those things are told to the people, they are impressed. That was more a matter of study, practice, and shrewd guesswork. He had that shrewd guesswork. He had that intelligent mind to judge people from their gestures. And that's why he was in this business of telling about their future. All the same, it was much an honest man's labor as any other. It was a labor. He was using his skills. He was giving his enough time for his to attract the customers and to tell about their future. And he deserved the wages he carried home at the end of a day. And he deserved it. He was doing the same kind of labor as a laborer does. And here we understand that in the first paragraph of the story, in the beginning of the story, we are introduced the astrologer, how he looked, what things he had, and where he used to sit. And then in the end of the first paragraph, in the end of the introduction, we are told how he was. He was not a real astrologer. But he was shrewd, he was intelligent, he had the study of human beings' nature. Thank you.